Welcome back to Message Monday. It's crazy to think. I think this is like our sixth one of these, Megan. This COVID-19 13-week period is flying by here, right? We said we were going to do these for 13 weeks, and
Yeah,
we're almost to the halfway point. Meg, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Beautiful weather, a little windy, but it's nice. Get outside.
Well, if you really zoom in, you'll see that I did do a poor job of sunscreen this weekend. So our athletic trainers and medical professionals are upset with my work there. So I need to get a little better. But last week, cool week. To talk with Steve Foster, and he's such an inspirational speaker. And you didn't get a chance to listen to his words on his wisdom on Wednesday. Fantastic. You always walk away from Steve. This week, big week too. Dan Hauser, alumni, played football and baseball for us. Dan was an executive with several professional teams, including being part of the Bad Boys in Detroit when they were winning championships with Isaiah Thomas and Bill Lambier and that group. And pretty cool and somewhat relevant now with this whole Jordan series going on. Huh? To think,
Yeah.
Dan had a firsthand seat to some pretty cool things. So. I'm sure we'll touch on that. Last week we honored, it feels like, every hockey team we ever had won a national championship. But that was 4 out of 5 years. I'd like to talk to the team in the middle of that, see what happened, right?
Right. What went wrong?
Come on, guys. This week we're going to honor the softball national championship, so pretty cool. Dean Schuta was our head coach. Dean's still a huge figure in the Stevens Point area and a dear friend of our athletic department. So, and then we're coming off of probably the biggest upset in sport history last week. You take an early 1-0 lead and win it, minute to win it, and then I just destroy you.
Yeah.
With, tissue toss.
I was worried that you're going to forget that M&M win that I had. Recap of the-
Irrelevant. What have you done for me lately? And the tissue toss took it. So anyway, another big week. Glad to be back. Megan, you had reached out and said that you wanted to touch on some things this week. So I'm going to turn it over to you here for a little bit.
Yeah. So for Message Monday, I guess what I want all of our student athletes and fans and friends of Pointer Athletics to know is today is your birthday. Happy birthday, Brad Duckworth.
Well, thank you. I am not a very good self-promotional thing, so I will. I'll just say thank you, and 26 years on this earth, and they've been great, right?
Yeah, 26. So we're not going to tell people how old you are. That's fine. But today's definitely not how we envisioned celebrating your birthday. We're probably less than 3 miles away, but we're saying happy birthday virtually via Zoom. And so what I wanted you to tell our fans today, we've talked a lot about what COVID has done to our student athletes, to our coaches, to our athletic department, and the lessons it's taught us. And we keep a similar theme, whether we're talking about Student Athlete Day or Earth Day or the sustainable things we've done in athletics. One thing we've talked about consistently is athletics is a driver that teaches us life lessons and how to persevere during times like this. So because it's May 4th and it's your birthday, I want you to share with us the top 4 lessons that athletics has taught you. And you've been in many roles. You've been the athlete, you've been the coach, you've been the administrator. So in all of your time in athletics, what do you think are the top 4 lessons or things that athletics has given to you in your life?
Wow. Great question. And I'm 44 for the record. So
44 on the 4th. This is a big birthday, people. Come on.
Yeah, well, 4 is the theme. Thanks for that question, Megan. And to our fans that listen, we don't always pre-script these. So I'm going to these blind, but I will tell you the number one thing that athletics continues to teach me is the value of relationships. And COVID-19 has been one of the most difficult periods, in my 44 years. And not just because we're not playing and we can't watch television, sports on television or see our awesome student athletes compete. but humans are driven relationally, and having to stay away from people we care about, love, want to interact with, be social with. That's really challenging for people, and it is for me. And you really have to check in mentally to make sure. But athletics is the greatest driver. So number one lesson, relationship. And I've said this as a coach. I said it as a player. We're using our sport as a vehicle to do something cool, right? And win championships. And it could be, horseshoes or bags, or it could be national championship basketball. When you're on a team with somebody, there is nothing that brings you together like athletics. Secondly is dealing with adversity. And I think if you listen to Frank O'Brien speak, and, you certainly in 25 years as a coach, losing a game to you when you were the head coach, and,
I remember.
But, just because you work as hard as you can at something and give all that you have doesn't guarantee you results. And athletics is that way. You can give everything you have, be the best you can, passionately commit, meaning you give every piece of your life, you change your habits. And it's not a guarantee that because you do those things, you're going to get what you want. And I think, during the COVID-19 period, that's something you have to cash in on. It's just because you want something doesn't mean that you're going to get it, no matter how much you're working at it. So it's certainly lesson two there. I think athletics has taught me discipline. You have to, I think all translatable things, relationships, obviously, handling adversity, being disciplined, and again, I don't love making things about me because our athletic department's about our athletic student athletes. But tomorrow, I will actually complete my doctorate. I'm done as of tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So,
woohoo!
Yeah, right, pretty cool. And, a lot of times, as an example, people will say, well, how did you run a department for a long time without having the awesome help you've brought to the table in 6 weeks, 7 weeks? We had a baby. I worked on a doctorate. I wrote a dissertation. How do you do that? You do that because of discipline. You do that because athletics teaches you that you have to hold yourself accountable and move yourself forward and set goals and reach them and make sure that you're doing that. Athletics does that. So I would say that's lesson number 3. And lesson number 4 is humility. We often, when you're a player and you're playing in front of people or on television or whatever, you're constantly in someone's eye, right? And I always used to say to younger coaches, one thing I learned when I was coaching is, there may be 1,500 people in the stands, let's say, watching you play. If you're a basketball coach, I can promise you all 1,500 are better coaches than you during the game. They think that they know what to do and what to run, and it's, and on the ride home, then it was really easy to pick apart what all the things you could be doing. And you know what? That's okay, because that's what I do when I watch a game, right? It's okay. That's not negative to fans. I sit there and what are you doing? Knowing that it's that easy, right, to sit in the stands. But, athletics teaches you humility. As soon as you start to think that you're pretty cool, you're in trouble, right? This sports will set you back really quickly, remind you energy, effort, tenacity, extraordinary mindset. Those are the things that make you successful, not because you think you're cool. So I would say those are my top 4.
Those are great 4 things that athletics has taught you. And I know we've kind of already done a get to know you, but you said relationships was your number 1. And I just think it's interesting. You and I have been close long before I started working for you and came back to UW Stevens Point. And everybody used to always ask me, how are you and Brad so close? How long have you known each other? I think it's important for our student athletes, our fans, for our Pointer family to know that how we did meet. You joke around that I was a head coach. I had left Stevens Point as an assistant coach. I was a head coach at Platteville, and we played Alverno, and that was my first win as a head coach. Knew you as the head coach of Alverno, but we didn't really have a relationship at that point. And the next day, and I think I still have it, you emailed me and said, congratulations on your first collegiate win. the first of many. I'm sure you're going to do great things at Platteville. And that's how our relationship formed. Something as simple as an email and an encouragement from a veteran coach to a newbie coach in a tough league. And you understood Wisconsin and the basketball and the WIAC. And so I just think that's such a cool story. And you and I became good friends and, you know, would meet up at conventions. And, you know, I remember when you were applying for the Stevens Point athletic director job, and you and I would talk about Pointer Athletics and what that was all about and how exciting it was. So, you know, those are great core lessons, and I can't think of a better leader for Pointer Athletics than you. So I know you don't, humility, you don't like these kinds of things, but today was about you, and we're super happy to celebrate your birthday and your doctorate and all you do for Pointer Athletics. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Meg. I really appreciate that. And, you know, I think if in athletics, if I had a fifth choice, respect belongs, right? When you see people who, I really believe this, and I coached women's basketball for 19 years, and one of the values of women's basketball that I think is so transformable to life is that, you know, women are created to be the most competitive humans. It's fascinating to coach women just absolutely driven to be competitive and successful. But one of the things that coaching 19 years worth of women, who I've heard a lot of them from today, right, on your birthday, and all of the memories of me kindly reminding them to be better players and all the things I'm talking about. But, you know, one of the things that always struck me is how quickly women were able to give credit where credit was due. You know, you give everything you have, but so did they. And if they earned it, they deserved it. And, you know, I'd be devastated after a loss. We'd get back on the bus and they're thinking about, okay, where's Jimmy John's or what's our pizza order? And, you know, it really taught me that sport is, and that does not devalue how bad they wanted to win. Oh my, you know, and how bad it hurts sometimes, but it was just a game and you move on. And Meg, I thought you did it the right way. And we played a really great game, and I can remember the play that my point guard kind of crossed over and had a chance to maybe steal one from you, and she turned it over and we lost. And, you know, but it was a great game, and you did great things. So thanks for your kind words. I'm happy to be at Stevens Point. What a great place. And, you know, relationships matter, and we have an unbelievable staff full of people pulling for each other.
For sure. With that, what a great message Monday. We look forward to getting together next week, and you'll be another year older and 1 week wiser. So thanks, Pointer fans. Have a great week.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next Monday.